Howdy, it's RBB. I challenged you guys last video to see if you could get a little bit further in our snowman modeling. And since I saw you last, I added a carrot and some eyes and a scarf. And rather than walk you through that whole process, since it's really no different than what we've been doing, I just modeled these simple things kind of on my own, and I will show you in a sped up version right here. Check it out. Right, so I sped this up about 4 times the speed, and I wanted to make a carrot. And we talked the other day about probably making it out of a cone was going to make it too pointy. It was very hard not to make this very phallic, but I'm making a carrot. Get your mind out of the gutter. So all I did was I thought, since the carrots have some ridges, I went ahead and added some holding loops here and then took the middle loop, edge loop, and shrunk them in so it's sort of a segmented in some spots. And then I went ahead and um, used soft select to make a couple of just irregularities so it wasn't perfect. And then I thought it'd be kind of cute if it was a little tilted up at the end, little, kind of a perky little nose. So I renamed it, moved it over to the nose. And fiddle around with it for a little bit here, getting it just right, getting rid of the old silly nose, the old cone nose. And I thought it was kind of cute, give it a little bit of personality, not just this cone sticking out of his face. So the snowman has in general a lot of sort of buttony type things. So I just made one of these guys and moved it over, and I did it by making the cube, the smoothed cube, and then I deleted half of it because there's no reason to have, a bunch of faces just hidden in the back. And I thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to duplicate this because I could use it for buttons or the mouth or whatever I want to later. So before I, call it an eyeball and do anything specific to it, I just made a couple of extras. And I purposefully did not name it yet. You'll see that it's Polycube 2, 3, and 4 because they were going to be used for different things. It's going to be used for an eye or going to be used for buttons or whatever. So once they were determined as to what they actually were, like these guys are eyes, then I go back and label them, put them in an eye group. And I'm just going to leave those in case I need them later on. So I thought I'd make the scarf. And I didn't really think that we needed to do this part together because it's so very similar to the hat. I just made a pipe and made it, approximately the right size and sort of fudged it around and got it into place. And then I thought, okay, well, this needs to be a little bit more organic. So I lowered the number of the area of effect there of the soft select all the way down to 1. And then I just sort of moved and tweaked some of the vertices to make it a little more organic. And I know that I'm going to smooth it as well, but I thought that that would be kind of nice, a little lower by his face, just a little bit organic. And then, of course, I'm going to smooth this. And then the last thing that I do is I went ahead and made the little tails of the scarf by taking a cube and extruding out little sections and sort of bending them. Now, there are a lot of more complex ways to do this very easily. I could have also grabbed like a pipe and deleted almost all of it, but that made sense to me was to make a nice short flat little rectangle and extrude out the way I wanted it to. That way I could bend this however I wanted to. And that's how it looks smooth. And that's nice. So I thought, oh, I should probably have some kind of little knot so it's not just coming out, not just coming out of nowhere. So I just duplicated it, made it into a smaller version of itself so it kind of looked like the knotted section. And it doesn't have to be exact. It's not like, well, clearly that's just, cut in and not really a knot. But, if that's what your audience is seeing, then, you're sort of defeating the purpose. It's not interesting enough that they're picking it apart. So I just made a duplicate of this guy and gave it like sort of 2 tails. And that was about it for the scarf. Now, this could be more complex. I might go back in later and tighten up the edges down there at the bottom where they're sort of rounded. I might flatten them off more like a little scarf. But there you go. That was just a couple of little details. And I didn't think we needed to do that part together. So one of the things I thought maybe we could do together, I'm in my perspective camera so I can move around, is I wanted to work on the doorway of the igloo. And I thought I'd show you how I did this. I thought that might not be necessarily intuitive, so I thought I would show you how I do that. I thought of a couple different ways because I want this to be arched like like I guess an igloo door is, right? But it's also not overly complex so that when I make a door to go in here, it's not like I have to, try to figure out how to match it. So what I did was I started out with a pipe. Oops, not a platonic solid, a pipe. I'll zoom in on the pipe. Okay. And my little pipe right here. I went ahead and just made this bigger. Boop. Made this guy bigger. Now, what made sense to me was having this nice round top, but then I needed legs. And I could have made it out of several different pieces, right? I could have had just the top of the arch and then stuck it on little legs. That would work too. But what I did was I went ahead and just chopped this in half and deleted all the faces, deleted this bottom half. Okay, got all the faces, delete. And that leaves a little hole right here, okay, which is not a big deal, but I wanted to show you how we can fix that. Okay, so the way that we would fix this is it's a hole, right? Now we don't actually even have to fix it. What I'm going to do, the idea was if I fix this and put a face right here, then I would use extrude and pull those sort of sides of the doorway down. You don't have to. You can extrude edges. So if I grab this edge loop, I double click to grab that edge loop, and I'm going to shift and double click this side. You can extrude edges as well. Okay. So it's still hollow. Okay. And that's fine because when this thing sticks in the ground, I don't really care, right? I'm not going to see the bottom, but I wanted to show you just so you know I'm going to step backwards past the extrude and show you how we can fill that in. So I've grabbed the edges around the holes. Okay. And then up here in mesh, and I'm sure it's other places as well. I'm going to go to fill hole. Okay. Now it filled the hole. There you go. Now this worked out nice because it was a four-sided hole. So by pasting this face in here, it made a four-sided face. If I had cut out a bunch of I don't know, a bunch of different faces and said fill hole, it'll fill it in with one piece of geometry, and then you'd have to go back and kind of fix the sides, make sure you didn't have too many. The nice thing about doing it this way is now this face is actually part of the geometry. I don't have to like create it separately and combine it or anything odd like that. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to grab those two faces and extrude. So either one of these works just fine. I'm going to do it a couple times just to give myself some segments. And I think one more time, and then this one, I'm going to widen them out a little bit. So it's sort of like it has a little bit of ground to stand on, if that makes sense. Oops. Yeah, a little bit of widen them out just a little bit like that. So it sort of flares. Okay. All right. So this guy is called, he's going to be the doorway. Okay. Because I'm going to delete that other doorway, but let's go ahead and I'll just call this igloo doorway. So because delete the other one. All right. So if I move this guy into place, F to focus on that. Well, that was pretty close. And turn him upright, larger. All right, and let's see what this guy looks like. You'll see that it's actually exactly the same as what I made right here. All right, the only difference in this guy is that I smoothed him, right? So let's see, there we go. Pretty much identical. Now I'm going to make this a little deeper so that I have room, I can make it as long as I want and just shove it back into into the igloo. Now, if I rounded this guy as is, okay, without any holding edges, he's not really going to give me the results I want. So watch this when I smooth it. Okay, it's a little too kind of noodly looking. Maybe I want it to have a little bit more structure. Okay, and so in that case, I would want to create some of my holding edges. Now, I think this one is a little too perfect. Maybe it could round a little bit more. So I'm going to grab my multi-cut tool, hold control, and I don't want it right up here or that roll off edge right there is going to be real crisp. So I'm going to let it fall off a little bit. Same thing on, went all the way around that nice edge loop. Okay. I don't really care about the back per se because that's going to be shoved into the ground. And I could go ahead and do that here just so the bottom edges don't get all roundy. That may actually be enough. Although let's go ahead and give that an edge as well, and that an edge. So you can see that we're limiting how much these edges can curl, right, and smooth. So let's see if we smooth it. There we go. And is that one any different? Yeah, it's a little bit more rounded. Okay, if I wanted it even more rounded, maybe I do, just to show you. Let's go ahead and grab those edge loops. And I'm going to scoot them back a little bit so it gives it a little more wiggle room. Okay, this edge loop, well, I think I actually need to shrink it here. Okay. All right, let's give that a try. Object mode, smooth. Okay. All right, so I think that's a little bit softer. It's up to you. Like this is a structure, right? This is going to be his doorway. So I don't want it to be like super squishy. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy, but you can see that these are basically the same now. I think I had more holding loops there. Okay, so this guy here, this is the new doorway. And that's what I want us to kind of get to this point. Oops. Oops. All right, and make this guy a little bit taller. I wish it was a little bit taller. Okay, sort of scoosh him into place. Now, one thing I'm not real sure about is how are we doing with our scene camera, right? Because it can look great right here, but if it doesn't look good on the scene camera, we don't care. So let's check that out. Let's go to the scene cam. All right, that's not too bad. Okay, this guy still sort of facing the right way. We could fudge this around a little bit, or we could, once we make this into one big igloo, we could turn it a little bit, because I don't know that I want to look like right up its nose like this. In fact, I think that this igloo right here, I'm going to go ahead and group it. So we've got the igloo and the igloo doorway, Control G, and I'm going to call that the igloo group. All right, because that's the only structure, I believe. Now I'm going to add some windows and things like that, and make it kind of cute and sort of cottage core looking, I guess, whatever. Let's go ahead and center that pivot. And I'm going to turn this guy. Yeah, I think that's a little better. I kind of like it more like that. As opposed to looking right up its nose or like he walked out and walked over to the side. I'm going to make it, I think, like this. So we can still see a doorway. And then if we have some other cute things like windows and stuff here, we can still add all of those. Okay. So we're going to keep this one short-ish. Okay. Because we watched how we did some of these things. The last thing I guess let's go ahead and do is maybe let's go ahead and put these buttons in place if that's what you want. You could always put like a vest on them or something like that. Let me show you something kind of cool. I'm going to take this body and I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, and pull that extra body off because now that's a duplicate of the exact body, right? And I'm hoping this is going to work. I'm just sort of winging it here. Sometimes you try things and they really don't work, and that's okay. What I think I want to try to do here is make kind of like a vest. All right, and this may not be the smartest way to do it, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip these faces off, okay? Like it's a shirt, like oops. I'm cutting a hole in it for where the legs will go. Doot, 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 doot. Like in Sleeping Beauty, where the one fairy's making a dress and she cuts a big giant hole out of it because that's where the legs will go. And let's go ahead and rip off the butt part of it here as well. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so what we're thinking of here is I'm gonna kind of like make a vest, and I'm also going to like I said, I'm making it up as I go. I'm gonna grab these faces and delete them. So we have a like almost like a cardigan sweater type thing that could fit on this guy, right? And it has no thickness, so we're gonna add some thickness to it. But we could tweak this a little bit more. We could like grab some of these vertices and move them over. But let's look at how we would add thickness to an object like this. Okay, because it's a duplicate of this body, so we know it's going to fit them, right? It's custom sized. I'm going to grab all the faces. And can you guess what we're going to do? We're going to extrude. Okay, now if I go the wrong way like this and it's black, all right, it's not wrong, it's just inside out, okay? And so I'm gonna extrude it this way, just a little bit, okay? It's not, crazy thickest thing ever. All right, so now we've got this structure here that's like a sweater that we know is absolutely going to fit him. That's cool. So let's go to soft select and make this a little, this is so small now. Let's go to 5. That's a little better. I think I'm gonna grab um, these faces. I don't know, maybe let's see this face and move it. That's not really gonna work. Let's do this. Let's turn soft select off. And I'm gonna grab these last couple faces. Get out of the way. And scoot them to the side a little bit. Maybe rotate them. Told you I'm just making it up. Now my thing's a little collywobbled right there, which is annoying. I'll show you guys how to fix that another time. Okay. All right. You can hit Q for quit, like the tool widget was in my way. So I just hit Q to not show me the widget and get it out of the way. All right, so just made it a little bit different. All right, we could go ahead and round this. I could also pull some of these edges down, like let's grab some of the vertices and let's grab some of these front vertices here. Let's actually soft select this, just making it a little bit different than his body. Okay. So, and let's smooth it. Smooth. All right. So now this is exactly the same size, right? So we know we want to make this guy a little bit bigger, right? Because it's got to fit on the outside of it. Oops, what we're doing. That's not right. There we go. A little bit bigger. He's gained a little bit of weight. Haven't we all? Okay. So let's put that in place. Oh, okay. So by making an exact duplicate of his body, I was able to make, this is kind of silly, but I was able to make this sort of like a sweater type thing. I can shrink it, move it, and do whatever I want to it now. I may need to adjust the scarf a little bit to fit around the outside of that. Okay, and futz around with that a little bit. Looks like one of the scarfy bits is tucked in here. There we go. Rotate out and move out. Yeah. All right. All right. So that's kind of cool. Well, it's on crooked. So, those snowmen. It's very little fashion sense. Yeah. All right. It's not cutting out anywhere. And we could tweak that some more. We could shrink these guys down and add them as buttons. Candy buttons. Or we could actually make buttons, right? I could make a cylinder here and make nice flat buttons. Maybe we want to do that. But that's my challenge for you for this next time is to go ahead and um, do more of what I challenged you to do last time, right? A little bit more modeling and also try, outside of your comfort zone a little bit. Try something different. Give them a sweater, give them pants, give them boots. All right. And we will, next time, I think what we're going to do is work on the door. So you can work on this independently. I think I'm probably going to create some buttons for this guy next time. Maybe I'll flare out his sweater a little bit down here. Here's what I could do, I think. I think with these faces, if I grab the bottom of these faces, let this drop off a little bit and widen it, maybe less. Too widen it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, we just sort of flared it out just a little bit. Yeah, I could even grab a smaller bit of it, like maybe just the very bottom row of faces there. All right. Anyway, fool around with that and see. Maybe the top part of this needs to move in a little bit, so it's a little bit structured. Maybe we don't want to look frumpy. Maybe snowman, but we're not frumpy. Okay, so there's another little tidbit moving forward. Let's get this arch done. And I think in the next video, we're going to do some details, such as the door, probably add a couple windows, and look at how we can make composite things. So like the window is not going to be just a hole cut out of this and extruded bits. It's going to be a separate structure because this is made out of snow, but the window itself maybe is made out of wood, and then there's glass inside, so they're going to be separate pieces of geometry all put together into making something. All right, so that'll be next time. Just keep at it. See you next time. Bye bye.